Hello, Spartanburg and beyond. My name is Santiago Mariani. I am the host of today's podcast, in which we'll be exploring the question of why choose Spartanburg. I'm your local realtor, Santi, as well. We'll be interviewing people along the way as we bring service providers, lenders, realtors, inspectors to find out the aspects of home ownership, but home ownership in this wonderful county of Spartanburg. And for today's first guest in this series, we couldn't have found somebody better to really be a cheerleader on Spartanburg's behalf. I have Alan Smith. Alan, welcome so much to our podcast.
Thank you for having me, and I'm glad that the first 7 you asked said no. So thank you.
Well, you will do great as well.
Great.
And Alan Smith is the CEO and president of OneSpartanburg here in, of course, Spartanburg. But Alan, we'll get to that in a second because I just found out that we are brother Vikings of different mothers. I'm a Spartanburg High Viking. You're a Viking as well.
D.H. Conley High School in Eastern North Carolina.
In Eastern North Carolina. What town is that in, by the way?
Winterville, which is a suburb of Greenville, North Carolina.
Oh, Greenville, North Carolina. Yep. Oh, interesting. Is there more than one Greenville?
There are quite a few Greenvilles.
There's quite a few Greenvilles.
Right.
Oh, interesting. And yet, there's only one Spartanburg. So, Alan, you were a Viking, and then you became a pirate, as I understand it, with East Carolina.
That's right.
And then you became eventually the president of the Chamber of Commerce of Greer, correct?
Right.
And then now Spartanburg. But you've also been involved with the Greenville Pitt County Chamber of Commerce as well. Mm-hmm. You were the vice president there. Right. So you certainly, this is not the first time you've been doing this. You've been at it for a while. And you've been in Spartanburg for almost 10 years as the president and CEO. Why are you still around? Why haven't you left with all the options out there?
Well, let me just say first, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for what you do because I'm the paid chief cheerleader for Spartanburg. That's really a role that our organization plays. And one of the greatest things that can happen in any community is to have third-party cheerleaders, citizens, just people that are fired up and motivated about what's happening in their community. And you're doing that on a regular basis. So I really appreciate that. And you can Venmo me later for that. But I want to answer.
Will.
Yeah, I want to answer your question. But what we do and how we do it at OneSpartanburg Inc. is incredibly unique. We combined the countywide chamber, the countywide economic development organization, and the countywide tourism organization all into one group, making it OneSpartanburg Inc. So that's one of the many reasons why I'm really committed to what we're doing here in Spartanburg because it's entirely different. I mean, you can look at neighboring counties, you can even go look at different states, and typically the chamber is a standalone organization. The tourism is standalone activity and economic development the same. And you've got all this overhead. You got fighting for resources. People are trampling over each other's missions, and we just don't have that in Spartanburg County. You know, the day that we decided to move to this consolidated model, we reduced overhead by 48%,
wow.
Which there's a lot of fiscal efficiencies for doing it, but also think about the synergies. I mean,
Absolutely.
One example is talent. You know, talent development, retention, and attraction is so important right now. Really, it's the number one issue in the business community. But talent, hospitality talent related to economic development, recruitment. I mean, talent is just one example of why it makes so much sense to have all these organizations under one umbrella working in tandem. The other thing is the fact that the Chamber of Commerce name, that brand, she served us well for about 103 years, but it was time to retire it. And I'll tell you why. Because for a lot of people, the Chamber of Commerce is the place where white old guys smoke cigars, they drink bourbon, and they make the decisions on behalf of the entire community. And let me tell you, that's not reality. But for a lot of people, that's the perception. So let's just bury that. The other thing that people think when they think Chamber of Commerce is member. So I'm a member of this and you're not. And that is incredibly exclusive. And that's not who we are, and that's not what we're trying to accomplish. So my leadership, my executive board said back in September of 2020, we need to move to this new model. We need to position our organization for the future of Spartanburg. And so that's what we decided to do. And so that's one of the many reasons why I'm committed professionally to Spartanburg. Personally, there's no other place I'd rather live. I'm raising 6- and 3-year-old little girls. My wife and I love the fact that we can walk our 6-year-old to school. Again, big city amenities, small town charm, meaningful relationships. This is still a community that if you want to engage and you want to make this a better place, you can be at the table.
Absolutely.
And that is not the case in a lot of communities. So we love it here. We love where we live.
And as you were saying all that, first of all, thank you. It's Halloween, and you are here with us on October 31st.
I told my wife I'm dressed up as a hot husband. She laughed. She did the same thing.
I'm not going to say whether you're pulling it off or not, but I'll let her decide. But Spartanburg, at least Spartanburg City, it's
I didn't know
this
this was going to be comedy hour too, but here we are.
We can have a good time as well, right? We got a lot of good things to be happy about. And Spartanburg is like this city of neighborhoods, correct? Where all of them have their own charm, their own sense of identity, but they're all connected. And I do love that spirit of cooperation that we find here, and that I've had a hard time finding it somewhere else. I lived in Argentina my first 11 years, so Latin America. I got to live up north for 2 years in Pennsylvania. I had the good luck of being able to live in Europe for 4 years in Rome, Italy. Got to visit Africa, Asia. And I come back in about 2019, 2020, and Spartanburg became a very different place. And that cohesiveness was apparent, not just with the Chamber of Commerce and the different entities that became one. You look at, for example, the City Hall/County building that will be coming up online soon. They will be under one roof, symbolically showing that the city and the county are united as one. And then that kind of spirit is permeating at the grassroots level. So one of the things I like to do along the way is promote small businesses, right? Because small businesses, it's what makes us us. And sometimes you have really local options. Sometimes there are franchises coming in, which is a great sign. And I did one for Sully Steamers, and they said, Santiago, you know what just happened? Ike's Burgers just advertised our business at their business on their tables that we were opening. Now, that's a competitor. And yet there they were, so happy that a new player was in town and promoting that. Have had a hard time finding that anywhere else in any of the places that I've lived at. So thank you for contributing towards that spirit of cooperation. And at the same time, I mean, we've become a resilient powerhouse. COVID, 2020, so many towns and cities were struggling. And yet here we were moving along. And since 2021, I think it's been $5 billion in investments, 80 developments. What's going on?
Yeah, so, I mean, the secret's out. The secret is out. We are seeing investment at record levels from international companies, domestic companies. We're seeing population growth like never before. People move to an area for 2 reasons, jobs and affordability. And we are top 11 in both nationally. And when you look at the top 25 fastest growing metros, 3 are in South Carolina. Number 1, Myrtle Beach, Horry County. Number 12, Spartanburg. And I think Greenville's now number 23. So again, people are coming to this community. They see what we've just talked about. There are a lot of opportunities. And there's this rough and tumble kind of tenacity that Spartanburg has, which I really appreciate it. I love the Fort Worth answer to Dallas. I love the Durham answer to Raleigh. Underestimate us, count us out, and see how hard we work. See how hard that we commit to collaboration. And one of the things that I do when I travel to other communities, I'm 42 years old, but I'm very much a 82-year-old at heart, as you can see from my attire. But I also like to read the old school paper. And I always pick up a local newspaper because, listen, we're not unique in a lot of our challenges. So I always like to see what other communities are doing to address their challenges. But sadly, what I see in a lot of local communities is I read about a city council suing a county council. I read about a local elected official disparaging another elected official publicly. And you just don't see that in Spartanburg County. I am not saying that this is peaches and cream, rainbows and unicorn, everything is perfect. We've got plenty of challenges.
And we'll talk about that in a
but
second
we
too.
collaborate like no other. And our institutions reflect it. You know, the successful 2017 penny will make that city-county municipal complex possible. The only one in South Carolina, the only example where a city and the county have come together under a roof. You look at our consolidated model of cooperation. You look at the Chapman Cultural Center and the institutions that coexist under one roof as there. The joint funders, the cooperation amongst our philanthropic organizations in Spartanburg County. So it is something that is incredibly unique. And, along with Dr. Booker and some of the other leaders in our community have had the opportunity to talk about this collaborative spirit on a national level. And people are blown away. And I really think that it is the reason why we are fortunate enough to live in this perfect moment in Spartanburg County. We have the right people and the right seats in the right place at the right time that are committed to our growth and success in a longer term.
Becoming the best version that we can be of ourselves. And even, I'm glad that you mentioned institutions and the cultural side of things. I mean, for people raising families, we've got 7 colleges and institutions of higher learning: Wofford College, Converse University, USC Upstate, South Carolina Community College, Spartanburg Methodist College, Sherman Chiropractic School, VCOM. We also have things downtown that are coming online. A Morgan Square that will become a true square, focal gathering point, no through traffic, so that people can bring their families and enjoy a beautiful day outside. We have a planetarium that's being built right next to the county library. I think the only other example of that is in Louisiana, and it's decades old. And we have a minor league baseball stadium coming up as well in the downtown that will bring in another hotel, restaurants, outside venue options for concerts. I mean, we're coming alive. We're coming alive. Dead are the days when we had to drive out of Spartanburg to have a good time. Those days are gone. In fact, I'm beginning to see people coming to Spartanburg to experience.
And the data supports that.
Absolutely. Say more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at tourism metrics, when you look at hospitality tax, when you look at accommodations tax, when you look at credit card transactions, we are seeing people from Union, Cherokee, Gaston, Greenville County come and shop in Spartanburg County. We're seeing that kind of growth because for a lot of reasons we're becoming a retail destination. You mentioned the baseball project. It's a 16-acre mixed-use redevelopment, so baseball gets a lot of the attention, but we cannot forget the Class A office space, the new hotel, the multifamily development. 16 acres of redeveloped prime real estate in any downtown in the United States of America.
It's a massive win in itself.
From Austin to Seattle would be a massive project. Put that 16 acres on the scale of a community the size of Spartanburg, and it's transformative. Everything you just mentioned, to the Mark Peters project on East Main Street, to the planetarium, we're literally looking at over the next 2 to 3 years anywhere between $700 and $800 million of investment coming alive in downtown Spartanburg. And so I think with that, though, we've got to be very conscientious about the disruptions that could cause the local downtown business community. And so we've got to be proactive in making sure that the businesses that are here are not being disrupted, and they can not only continue to exist, but thrive in this period of historic progress.
We have to look for that win-win wherever we go. And one last point before we move on to the next and last phase of this interview is the fact that we're also so affordable. At the national perspective, I listed a home last year, and I received a phone call from a couple from New York, and the man asked, "Hey, I'm sorry, how much are taxes for that house?" I said, "Sir, well, they are about $1,000," and he immediately screams, "Honey, did you hear that? It's only $1,000 per month for taxes." And I said, "Sir, are you sitting down? Because I'm about to rock your world. It's $1,000 for the year for that given property." And silence on the other side. So if you're looking to raise a family, we've got the amenities, we've got the recreational outlets, we've got the institutions, and we've got the jobs availability, and it's affordable. It's affordable, and it's here for you as well. But it's not perfect, right? We can't just be blind to some of the things that we are struggling with as a community. If you truly love where you live, and we truly do love where we live, you have to acknowledge the good and acknowledge what needs healing. And let me tell you, Alan, if you drive through some of our streets here in Spartanburg City and Spartanburg County, you may notice that they're not the best out there. However, we have an opportunity before us to address that. You mentioned the penny sales tax, right, which has been proven to accomplish fantastic works that then we don't owe any money on afterwards. We have the new police station that has been built. We have that city county building that will be paid for. The new courthouse, which is amazing and beautiful and huge and beautiful. Now we have another chance to vote yes on a penny sales tax. And my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it would be used for the roads itself. Am I getting that right?
577 projects across Spartanburg County to include roads, bridges, stormwater culverts, and addressing some intersections as well, and providing some funds to provide some safety enhancements to existing roads throughout all of Spartanburg County.
Wow. Why not, though, just raise property taxes? Why a penny sales tax approach?
Well, a property tax increase only impacts the people that own homes or property in Spartanburg County. The penny tax, by law, sunsets in 6 years. Now, if county council wants to put another 6-year penny on the ballot, they can, but the only body that can reauthorize it is the people and the voters of Spartanburg County. The penny provides 34 to 39% of revenue from people that do not even live here.
Wow.
Said another way, that's anywhere between $160 to $180 million over the next 6 years that visitors would pay to help us fix our roads. They use our roads, they tear up our roads, they should help us fix our roads.
Absolutely.
Property tax increase, visitor revenue is zero. $0 come from visitors. The other tool that local government has at its disposal is a general obligation bond. And that is offset, the debt has to be offset by a property tax increase as well. And we've got great examples of a penny felling and a property tax increase happening. So that's not a threat. Greenville County several years ago attempted to pass a penny referendum for roads. It failed. Greenville County Council several months ago raised property taxes. Our organization is committed to making sure that this penny passes on November 7th because we don't want our businesses and we don't want the people of Spartanburg County to be impacted by a property tax increase, period. Property taxes are permanent. They don't go away. By law, the penny sunsets after 6 years.
So then it's done. It's done, and then we can vote for the next project or not.
Yeah.
But it's not for life.
Right. And even there might not be another 6 years. It's up to county council discretion. If they want to put another opportunity on there another 6 years from now, they can. But there's no they reauthorizing it.
Us.
It's only the people of Spartanburg County. And guess what? Another point too. Property tax increase. We have no choice. We have no say-so. County council either votes it up or votes it down. If county council decides to take on debt and we have to pay off that debt over 20 years, we have no choice. County council either votes it up or down. This is the only solution that we have a choice in. We have a say in. That's right.
And as you mentioned, we're not taking on debt. It's proven with all the projects that are being done or will be done, and then it's paid for. We don't have to worry about it.
Correct.
Anymore.
People, you may hear a small number of people saying the 2017 penny, they didn't spend the money the way they said they would. Well, on the ballot, it specifically said in black and white that the penny would be used for the courthouse, the emergency operations center, the new police headquarters, so on and so forth. You can literally drive by those facilities and see your penny at work. You can see visitors' pennies at work, and this would be no different. 577 projects all throughout Spartanburg County, all delivered to us with help from visitors and debt-free.
And by law, we would have to use that money for the roads, correct? It's not like we can raise the funds and then say, well, we're going to use it to build a new park instead. It has to be used for the purposes that the people voted on.
That's a great point. And we have, unfortunately, there's an example in South Carolina when that did not happen. Richland County approved a penny, and then some folks in administration decided that they were going to spend money on some projects that were not on the ballot. Those people went to jail.
That's not a good end to the day.
It is criminal. This is not a wink and a nod and we'll spend the money over here. In fact, there's a reporting mechanism. The county has to report to the Department of Revenue at the state every single quarter what they're spending the money on. So again,
accountability
they will be,
throughout.
Absolutely. And not only that, the county on their website has gone even a step further. So there's a project viewer. So right now, you can go to their website. You can also go to voteyesspartanburg.com. You can hover the mouse over the project. It will tell you the estimated cost, estimated start time, estimated completion time. So you as a private citizen can keep yourself updated and hold the county accountable.
And that's transparent through and through.
You can't be more transparent.
And we have the tools to hold the people accountable for the money that they will be receiving if we vote yes. Now, I'm a big supporter of the vote yes. I live here. I drive on the roads. And having looked at and spoken with different people, professionals in the matter, it truly does seem like the best option for addressing the issues of the roads, getting them up to speed, because we have to keep up the infrastructure with the growth.
Since January 1st, 68 people have died on Spartanburg County roads. That is number one in South Carolina. Number two is Greenville County, and they're 11 behind us. We have 14 intersections in Spartanburg County known to be among the most dangerous in South Carolina. Over the past 5 years, there's been 322 crashes, 149 injuries, and 3 deaths. That is the bad news. The good news is if we say yes on November 7th, all 14 of those intersections will be addressed.
Amazing.
All 14 will be made safer. But let me tell you something. If you're looking for a compelling reason to support this, safety is number one. And we are number one in traffic deaths right now, but we have the power and we have an opportunity to address it on November 7th.
November 7th, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, I think, again, I'm a big supporter of this penny sales tax because it will be a one-time thing that we vote on, and then next time we can see what else we vote on, if we do or don't. But this is the chance that we have to become the best version of ourselves that we can, and that includes having good roads. And some other thing that we have going on that I think is an incredible opportunity, brought about by OneSpartanburg as well, is the Power Up program. I think that what makes a community truly unique as well are the small locally owned businesses. But it's not an easy thing to be a small business owner. Can you tell me about Power Up a little bit and what it has to offer?
That's the hardest job you could have, growing a small business. I completely agree with folks that are in that field and folks that are trying to grow a small business. I'm fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with them. And so let me just give you some historical context. So
Absolutely.
As you said, we have been the best in the state, really the Southeast, and even in some national rankings. And in fact, number one right now in projects won per capita nationally. So we've been the best at recruiting big businesses. But about 2 years ago, we realized that small businesses were contracting a little bit, 3.7%. The sheer number of small businesses in Spartanburg County was down 3.7%. Black-owned businesses were 50%, half the national average.
50%.
Unfortunately, we're not an anomaly in that situation. The difference is we are doing something about it. And so we started talking with county council, in particular, councilors Abu Saft, and we talked with Councilor Monir Abu Saf, and we talked to him about this situation and what we needed to do to address it. And he agreed. He said, I'm a big proponent of small businesses, and the county has some ARPA dollars and American Rescue Plan dollars, and I think we should use some of them to support small businesses in Spartanburg County. And so the county then allocated funds to us to launch what we're calling Power Up Spartanburg. Now, Power Up Spartanburg, it does have a loan component. It does have a grant component, but that is only one of 8 support mechanisms available to small businesses. I know everybody wants to talk about the money. Show me the money. But there are so many other things. And so the way a small business person needs to look at Power Up Spartanburg is, in your life cycle, you might be right here. You might be at the point where you had an idea on a Saturday night and you want to bring that idea to fruition. there's a space for you in Power Up Spartanburg if you're at that stage. You may have been in business for 2 years. You might have 2 employees and $250,000 of gross revenue. There's support for you as well. I mean, we are bringing world-class ideas and programming from MIT, a mentoring program from MIT. We now have 27 dedicated mentors that are assisting 13 mentees as a pilot. And that's great. But what's better is scaling it up. And that's going to be the next step, because we're not going to move needles by having these programs where 10, 15, 20 people are helped. That's important. But we want to scale this thing up countywide. And so I encourage people to go to powerupspartanburg.com to read about all the support mechanisms in place.
And including social support, social capital, getting people connected, networking. Those are things that money can't buy sometimes, because you have to be present with people who are present as well, looking for the same thing, to thrive. And so thank you for creating that hub as well. And again, we got so many things to be excited about. We could talk for another hour, and we wouldn't even reach the depth of what is going on.
But then what no one would watch.
That is correct. But as you know, for the last your parting words, where do you see Spartanburg being 5 years from now?
You know, I think Spartanburg will continue on this unequaled path of collaboration. And I think that is going to be what is going to propel us to the future. I think that is going to position us well, regardless of what happens in the national economy. I think that's going to insulate us. I think that's going to position us well. I also want to say this community is quite unique in its people-centric focus as well. The Spartanburg academic movement is doing incredible work in this community. We are proud to partner with them, as are dozens of other organizations. And I'm not going to go into great detail, but they are going to be the recipient of a catalytic type investment, and it will fund a plan called Movement 2030, which is really going to bring economic mobility to a lot of people. There are a lot of people that are not participating in this economic success that we are having. And quite frankly, it's a human issue. But not only that, you know, we've got a labor force participation rate issue as well. We got to get more people in the game. We got to get more people winning. You know, there are a lot of people winning. Spartanburg is winning, but we want to get more people and more families winning as we move forward. And so it's critically important. And I can't end this without saying this. We have the best team that we have ever had. I'm a firm believer. One of my team members shared this quote with me, and I have been saying it over and over and over again. Give good people possibility, and great things happen. And that team of people over there at OneSpartanburg, Inc., they're great people, and incredible things are happening in Spartanburg County because of them.
Well, thank you so much, Alan, for all that you are doing along with your team. I couldn't be more proud to live in Spartanburg, and you guys have played a major part in making that a reality. I love where I live. I get to say that truly. Whenever I sell a house here or help people move in here, I believe in it. You're making a great investment by moving to Spartanburg. As you have seen today, nobody's going to stop us. We're going to continue growing and becoming the better part of ourselves. And I like to say it takes a village to be a village. It's really dumb if you think about it, but it's also profound. We need each other to be a village. So do step up. If you're a small business, powerupspartanburg.com. If you live here and you want the roads to be better, there's that vote coming up. But whatever capacity, rise to the occasion, and let's make Spartanburg the best city that it can be. Alan, thank you so much for being out here today.
Thank you.
And please stay tuned. We'll have more guests along the way as we explore the reality of living in Spartanburg. Until then, I'm your local realtor, Santi. Have a fantastic day.